welcome to the Stranger Still podcast. My name's Kathleen.
And I'm Miles.
And we are reviewing each episode of Season 4 one by one. This is a rewatch, so this episode may contain some spoilers for all of Stranger Things Seasons 1 through 4, though we mostly stick with each episode.
Yes, but I do have some major points here. So if you are listening and you have not seen all of Season 4 all the way up to the piggyback, smash your device to the ground right now.
Smacking.
Or press pause and
Smack that device.
Smack that device to the ground right now, bro chacho. Or pause and come back to us.
Also, follow us on Twitter at StrangerStill22. Subscribe, rate, review us on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, wherever you get your podcasts.
If you think we're going to spend the last day of our life in the armpit that is Mike Wheeler's basement, no. We are going to review Chapter 4 of Season 4, Dear Billy.
Here we go, here we go.
One of the, if not the greatest episode in Stranger Things history.
I was literally about to say that.
You say it instead.
He's always stealing
Say
my
it
lines.
instead.
One of the best episodes possibly in the entire history of Stranger Things.
Wow. Yeah.
I know.
We start picking up where in the Byers residence in California, where the Byers bros and Mike are
Pissed,
and they're coming to terms with what the government workers are telling them. 11 is gone. Yep,
coming to terms. No, they are not coming to terms. They refuse it. They're pissed that they're being locked in this house. Will's complaining about what do they expect? People are going to start asking questions.
Yeah.
We're just expected to be locked up here for nobody knows how long.
Yeah, it could be months.
Right? Yep.
And then they give Mike the note, which is signed. I'm going to go be a superhero from Elle, which is an epic troll. You say Elle doesn't have an elite sense of humor? That is elite. That's the best joke. Who says she's not funny just because she grew up in a lab?
That's not a joke, babe.
From Elle. Oh, it's not?
No, it's not a joke.
Oh, okay.
She's writing it obviously to highlight the fact that he never said love, so she's not going to say it either.
I'm not saying it's a happy joke. It's a bitter joke.
No, it's not a joke.
But it also does serve. Mike knows that note is truly from Elle.
Absolutely. The fear on his face.
Mm-hmm.
But real.
It assuages his distrust of what the hero agent people are telling him, because only 11 could have written that piercing commentary to him.
And even the lady says, 11 trusted us. Now we're asking the same from you.
Yeah, and they dropped the name of Dr. Owens. Yeah, so let's stay in California. Gosh, we got a lot to get to in this episode.
So much happens in this episode. So many good things.
Yeah.
I mean, bad things, but...
Bad things in terms of wouldn't want to live through them. Good things in terms of do want to watch them.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Again, they're annoyed that they're locked in this house, but Jonathan's got a plan to get them out.
Yeah, he's going to call for a ride, a cheap ride. And he goes to, or one of them, is it Will or Jonathan, that goes, hey, we're hungry. We want pizza. And the agents are watching golf. Now, I know there's a huge cross-section of golf history enthusiasts and Stranger Things fans. I know I'm one of them. I'm one of those people who loves golf and Stranger Things. And
You
I know
love all the sports.
I do. The question that's on all of our minds, us golf stranger heads, is were they watching the 1986 Masters? Because the spring of
you're going to answer this.
Spring of 1986 is a big deal for golf. This is the year in which a 46-year-old Jack Nicklaus wins his 18th and final major, something that Tiger Woods continues to chase. He's only got 15 majors that he's ever won. He's still not won more than Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus does the famous comeback with an eagle on 15, birdies on 16 and 17 to the legendary Augusta National Course. And no one cares about this, I know. But
famous to people who like golf.
It is not that match, which is one of the most famous matches in all of golf history.
Was that what you initially thought it was?
It was.
Oh, okay.
But this is a week before that match happens.
Okay.
So it's actually the tournament the week before. The Duffers could have just went with this famous giant 1986 Masters, but they didn't. they showed the week before to line up with the timeline. And the guy on the screen is a golfer named Tim Simpson. Never heard of him. Feels like they picked him because it was a very 80s outfit. But case closed. We can move on.
All right. Well, let's move on from golf and back to Stranger Things. And let's talk about the things that I like, which is feeler stuff. We have Mike and Will coming back together. First, you've got Mike, who's, really upset about the letter from Elle. It says from Elle, not love Elle. And he's worried about the fight that they had. He even says, I think this just felt like an adult fight, something that you don't come back from.
Yeah.
But then you have Will comforting him, saying, no, you can say that thing that, by the way, Mike still won't say, and 11 isn't even there. God. And then you have Mike and Will becoming friends again, and Mike apologizing for, things being weird. Maybe I feel like I lost you, but let's do this together. We're friends, best friends.
Will's face. He just beams with that. Let's work together. Let's be a team, friends, best friends. And he's just so happy, Will is.
Yeah.
I love that. And
because he, all this time, he had thought he'd lost his best friend, but he didn't.
Yeah.
They're just going through some shit.
And Will's speech to Mike to get him out of that really makes a lot of sense as well, because Will is basically saying, Owens and the group are saying, trust us. You guys just wait here. And Will's like, they haven't ever won against the Upside Down. They lost the Demogorgon. They lost to the Mind Flayer. They didn't even know about the Russian base or the Meat Flayer at all. They're 0-3. We're the ones. That was you guys. You saved me.
And I like that they're like, I guess it'll be on us again. We'll do this. Yeah.
Yep.
Really cool.
So the pizza arrives.
Oh, let's talk about how they order.
Okay.
Argyle is so funny. Okay, so Miles is a steadfast no pineapple on pizza. And Argyle's whole speech when he answers the phone to take their order is all about how you have to try the pineapple on the pizza.
Juicy
try before you deny.
Yeah. And I have tried, and I have to say, no, Argyle.
And you deny.
No, I deny.
You have tried and you deny.
But it's not the pizza who arrives.
No,
it is a guy who says hello there. I thought he was going to be like...
Does he?
He says hello there.
He does?
The guy. And then he shoots one of the agents, and
shit hits the fan.
Shit hits the fan. And
Excuse my language.
I will bleep that out and apologize to our sponsors.
All of our sponsors.
And of course, this is the big set piece, the one shot, where it's the gunfire starts and Jonathan runs back in the room and the camera follows him down the stairs, back up the stairs.
Oh, and that is all one shot.
Yeah, it's all one shot. And the agent guy who previously had been watching Tim Simpson putt in for par,
half asleep on the chair, as Jonathan says,
is a badass.
Yeah.
He shoots like what would you say? 9 guys? 8 guys? I feel like.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 to each door. But they all have machine guns.
While protecting these unarmed kids, really. And he's just one man, and this is the military coming at him.
And he's got a handgun, and they've got machine guns. Now, I will say, on the other side, whoever running this mission, operation failed. Mission not accomplished. No. They set in so many guys with machine guns firing, and they just went down all over the place.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe, are they trying to capture the kids alive? That's why this is a little more difficult for them. But no, they're just firing.
I think that is the goal because their ultimate goal is to find 11.
Yeah. And they think they have no reason to think 11's not there, right?
Yeah.
So they are kind of scared of that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think the goal is to not kill these kids. The goal is to it's hard to tell. We find out later that maybe that is the goal.
Oh, good point. Mission failure. And after that one shot, it's even funnier because Argyle drops up. Oh man, having a party without me? That's not cool. Pass the Deutsche on the left hand side. The way that Argyle's world breaks down from there as they climb into the car. And Argyle, I loved this because I'm like, yay, Argyle's on our ride. You know, I love when a character joins. Drive!
But that Asian does not get out unscathed.
No, he's been shot. Oh, and
he's
that's
gonna die.
Heroic.
Not in this episode.
A heroic moment. He basically body shields them. Those bullets were going to hit either Will or Mike or both. Because he gets it. Agent, whatever the guy's name is. They don't remember his name next episode either or even know it. But he gets 2 shots.
And he is the true superhero of this episode.
Superhero agent, man. Mm-hmm. And that's the last we see of California this episode. Is that correct?
I think so. Really, like, it was a very action-packed California that we got here, but that's it. Then we jump to, we actually get more of Hopper and Joyce in this episode than I feel like we've really had in any of the episodes so far.
Yeah, we've been kind of getting snippets of them. So let's go over to the Alaska-Russia plot. Let's start in Russia where Hopper it's the big day. He's going to instigate his escape plan.
Yep, he finds out that everything is going as planned. Joyce and Murray have arrived with Yuri. Murray. It rhymes. And Enzo gives him a 100-to-1 chance of being successful. And Hopper proves him wrong. He is that 1 in 100.
Or proves him right. Because that didn't seem like a very efficient plan.
But he made it.
Okay. Well... So the plan, Hopper breaks the stick. He needs to go into the shed. The guy goes in the shed. Hopper follows him in there. He kills that guy.
Yeah, kills. Oh, yeah.
He takes off his chains. So I was complaining the whole time last episode about how it made no sense. What is he doing with the chains? It's crystal clear once he's killed that first guy that he has bent the metal and he's pivoting it off of. I don't know what I was talking about. It's crystal clear right there.
I don't know what you're talking
about.
That's on me. Do we ever know what you're talking about?
But then the nosy guard, who we haven't talked about that because we haven't really dived fully into the Russian plot very much. This nosy guard has been, sniffing around.
Always watching Enzo and Hopper, which is why Enzo likes to I feel like he takes a little pleasure in those shots that he takes to Hopper to show that, they're not.
That they're not colluding. Yeah.
Colluding.
How can I be colluding if I'm punching him in the face? Yeah. So the nosy guard follows Hopper in, and then this really loud fight happens in there. It's slamming and jamming.
He is much more experienced than the guy that Hopper just killed. Mm-hmm. But he is successful again. I mean, somewhat. Like you said, they loudly fight. The gun goes off. He has to rig up explosives and escape out of the roof. Yeah. But
there's no music during either of those fights. And I feel like that was because, we're enhanced. He's supposed to be having this fight in the quiet, right? And every little noise makes us nervous that the rest of the guards. So I love that choice to not have really any music until he starts going onto the roof, climbs on the snowmobile, and they shoot machine guns after him, which machine guns never kill anyone ever.
In the history of all action movies, when do machine guns actually hit their target?
Oh man! So let's keep following Hopper.
That was a really nice catch, though. I definitely didn't think of that as we were watching it. That it's that having no music is a tool to highlight how it's supposed to be quiet.
Because you're just like every single boom and crash and crash. You're like oh shh.
Yeah. But Hopper does indeed escape. He gets to the town. He breaks into the church, which is Yuri's smuggling cover operation, and he opens a can of peanut butter.
Now, everybody has talked about this peanut butter in this moment, but Kathleen, on the day, you were talking about his feet. Get those feet under that blanket. That's what you were talking about.
Oh, my God. Yes, because how does he not have frostbite? He is literally, who knows how long he's been on that snowmobile, but he's been without socks and without shoes through the whole fight with the nosy guard, his whole escape up the hill and into the town and then through the building. And he's just like running like nothing. I mean, it's got to be like below... it's definitely obviously below freezing. But I mean, it's got to be like negative degrees. This is Russia.
When he gets those feet under that blanket, that was our that's what everyone else thinks of the peanut butter.
I was still wondering if he was going to keep his feet.
Hopper, I think this will be more dramatic on binge watching, because Hopper, he has been our big, strong 1980s action dad, and he looks so weak and vulnerable here as he eats the peanut butter, as he climbs under that blanket. You know, I mean, just
not weak.
Okay, not weak, but definitely weakened.
Yeah.
Like
don't try to say showing emotions are weak.
He has not been on a great diet, and he's looking a little emaciated. He's not looking great. And just before this, it was
amazing. I mean, amazing moment.
Yeah, but he was like at the end of season 3, he was like fat, and he had a mustache, and he was talking to Slim Jim, commandeering the Todd Father's car. People talk about stakes, like death is the only stake, but Hopper has been through it. And this scene with the peanut butter and this, like, you can just see what this has done to him. He is a different man now.
Absolutely. A different man completely. And there's just like so many emotions at play that I definitely want to touch on later. Okay. But yeah, a fantastic scene.
Want to go to Alaska?
Let's go to Alaska.
Joyce and Murray are, they're here. They are in the motel, and Joyce is calling, and Murray's freak out. You love Murray. There are certain things
that you can be late to in your life. Oh my gosh. Another hilarious moment. Like I said, Murray is like here for the comedic relief for this dark and deep season of Stranger Things.
And they go to the fish and fry. We meet the just horrible Yuri with his fake out stories.
Crazy. Yeah. He's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's like they eaten by a bear. Ha ha ha! Just kidding. It wasn't true. Like my brother, took my wife. Ha ha ha!
And the first mention of that Murray has of his karate. I should mention I'm now a black belt in karate.
That's going to come up later. Yeah, Yuri.
Precursor to an amazing scene.
I didn't like Yuri. Murray makes a point to say, I don't like him, right? The subtitles call Yuri the wheezing laugh. It's just like, ugh. He's counting the money, says this could be a while.
Sit back and help yourselves to some coffee. You look cold.
Yeah. And then Yuri betrays everyone.
Everyone.
Did you have any sense that this was going to happen, that Yuri was going to betray like the whole group here?
I mean, I think you have the sense that something is going to go wrong at some point, but in what way, I had no idea. But I thought it was really cool that he was the one that betrayed them and betrayed everybody. Betrayed Enzo, betrayed Joyce and Murray.
Yeah, I did not see it coming. I thought, here Yuri is going to be the guy who dies, as they goes to save Hopper, like an Alexei sort of figure or whatever. But no, I was completely flabbergasted by this. My gast was flabbered in terms of this.
He makes it through the whole the whole of season 4.
Yeah, he does. Amazingly.
Crazy guy.
So he says he's going to call to make sure Hopper is alive and therefore potentially save fuel if he's dead. He calls Enzo at the prison to say, I made a deal with the warden. You're screwed. I told them where Hopper is. He's screwed. Also, he drugged Joyce and Murray. They're screwed. I'm going to bring them over, and they're going to take just this whole betrayal thing. I've never seen a character not part of the direct Upside Down who has ruined things more than Yuri. Damn it, Yuri.
So did you like Yuri as a character?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't like... I enjoyed him as part of the story. It's someone to hate. I liked to hate him. Yeah.
I thought he was pretty funny. Mm-hmm. And I like later how they use him in later episodes, which we'll definitely touch on when we get there.
And yeah. Everything starts going wrong. We start seeing Hopper beaten at the church. Enzo's being taken from the prison. Murray and Joyce realize their coffee has been drugged.
I don't think the Hopper getting beat in the church happens in this episode. I think does it start off the next episode?
Oh, yeah. No, I think
so.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think they just go into the church and he sees them. We don't see it get beaten.
It even emphasizes that peanut butter scene more. I mean, we're not there yet. Obviously, I think it's in the next episode. But you finally think that he's made it, he's escaped, and then he hasn't.
He didn't jump out of the way. So Joyce and Murray not seeing this coming, that they drank the coffee. You were disappointed in that.
Yeah.
You were disappointed in Murray specifically.
Absolutely, because he's supposed to be this super paranoid, the government is always after you, everything is a conspiracy, and yet he doesn't catch this, and he's foiled by Yuri,
a crazy guy. And I was disappointed in Joyce. Joyce, you're always on high alert. You didn't notice Jonathan was high last episode. Now you don't notice that you shouldn't drink anything this guy gives you. Joyce, she was the MVP of seasons 1 and 2 and 3, really.
And not doing great in this season.
Not having a great...
not a great start, at least.
Two magnets fell off her fridge at her place she works in season 3, and she saved the world by that.
Exactly.
But this time she drank Yuri's coffee, and that's where we leave them, right? Yeah. Everything ends in a precarious...
Maybe it's just a sign that Joyce and Hopper need to be in each other's lives.
Maybe.
Everything falls apart when they're not together.
Yes. All right, let's go over to Indiana. The main thrust of this episode certainly is Hawkins' group. We get a ton of great stuff with Robin and Nancy, obviously, and this is the Max episode.
And we start off with them. The second half of the opening scene is Robin and Nancy arriving at the school. Everybody's together, and then you have Max explaining what she saw in her visions and the timeline of Fred and Chrissy with their headaches, their nightmares, their trouble sleeping, their visions. Everything correlates to exactly what Max has gone through and allows her to determine an almost exact timeline of how much time she has left for them to kill Vecna.
Yeah.
24 hours.
Of course, this asshole curses me. I just saw that goddamn clock. Looks like I'm gonna die tomorrow. I love Max.
She is so like matter of fact, but also dark.
Yeah. They hear a rustling and they think, "Oh, someone else is coming." Turns out to be Lucas.
And he's just ran 8 miles.
Biked 8 miles.
Oh, okay. God. Because I totally thought he ran, and I'm thinking, like, was he in a full-out sprint? Like, how does anybody do that? Only young people can do that. Yeah. But he explains that he's got a code red with Jason. Dustin says they have bigger problems than Jason right now. But meanwhile, Erica, she has her own run-in with Jason.
I wanted to quickly touch on that little part with Steve. He has the lamp. And he's like, Jesus, Sinclair, I could have taken you out with this lamp.
Oh, yeah. It's this flimsy lamp.
Somebody get Steve a bat, because he had an oar in chapter 1. That didn't work on Eddie. He's got this jangly 1980s lamp for Lucas. Somebody get Steve that bat.
Yeah. Hey, I don't think he gets a single bat this season.
I don't think so either, but maybe season 5.
Season 5, it's coming. The bat is coming.
Yeah, but the Sinclair house, you're right, does have a little bit of action. Erica's been covering for Lucas for 3 days. Yep. He's been staying at the Benny's Diner.
Which, unfortunately, she discloses to Jason, and that's when Jason realizes that he's been played.
I think Jason realized that when Lucas left them at the cabin, though, to be honest.
Well, yeah. I think he had a hunch. But by then, he was sure.
Erica just doesn't care. She's like, I don't know why this guy's looking for Lucas. I don't care. I know that if you see Lucas, tell him he's going to owe me a Nintendo with Duck Hunt.
I know. I love how she does the calculations, the interest rates and everything.
How exactly is she covering for Lucas? Is she like making it seem like, oh, Lucas was just here, he was in the shower, and like she made it look like he was here and gone, so his parents think he was there. Like, what's the level?
He's been gone like all weekend, because remember he was drinking with Jason's group, and I think she told them that he was at Mike's house or Dustin's house.
I don't think that's worth a Nintendo with a Duck Hunt. I think if she was like faking that he was there, putting like pillows under the bed to make it look like Lucas was sleeping there, that's worth Nintendo with a Duck Hunt. But
so all you listeners, delve into that part of this
Stay tuned. I'm going to do a separate episode about just
It'll be an hour long.
So the group is together.
They're poring over the article that Nancy and Robin found about Creel, and they're discussing why Vecna is suddenly back, killing 38 years later. It doesn't make sense.
I love this. Dustin's like, what? Pretty straightforward. And then Steve asks like all the audience questions that should be asked right now. How is he doing this? Aren't the gates like the biggest thing of the previous 3 seasons? Gates being open and closed. How is he doing this? Why did he do one family in 1959 and then all of a sudden a couple of teens 25 years later? I felt like a kind of a warm sense of trust. The writers are literally writing these questions into the show, made me trust that they've thought about it. Don't worry.
And like we've said time and time again, that is what makes Stranger Things so amazing. They tell us all the questions that we ourselves are asking about in all of those other movies as we watch that are never answered, that don't make sense, but they answer these questions.
Yeah, straightforward my ass.
Yeah.
Dustin seems a little contrite there. Sorry.
Well, they've obviously been struggling in their friendship.
Yeah, they've been bickering this season.
Yeah,
they've been bickering, Steve and Dustin.
But Nancy and Robin have a plan.
They've got the plan to go to the is it right to call it the insane asylum? Penhurst Insane Asylum?
Yep, Penhurst Asylum. They are going to be faking being psychology majors at the University of Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. And Steve is not going to be there with them. And he is pissed because he's now, again, the babysitter.
Always the goddamn babysitter. And they have to talk their way in. They meet this Dr. Hatch, who you pointed out is kind of an interesting little character for playing only his little part.
Yeah, he really is.
He's just like this hard-nosed, eccentric, sort of prideful guy. He brings a lot to that.
Passionate. He's very passionate about psychology.
And very intense.
Very intense about it. And that is ultimately what Robin uses to capture him, to get him to allow them to do their interview.
I loved her story. P.D. McHugh, wet his bed thinking about this, but I wanted to know how somebody could do it. Yes. I wanted to be you.
The women's inequality speech that, if P.D. McHugh or whatever his name is, had made this request, he would have been approved in seconds.
Yeah. Ironically, one reason why they should have brought Steve.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying, Ruth and Rose, you could have saved it.
The thing is, Steve, although we love him, he's not the brightest bulb.
He couldn't have faked. You're right. He couldn't have faked being a Notre Dame 3.9 GPA.
But I really love, because Robin has been complaining about the clothes the entire time. Yeah. And I like that they rolled that into her speech.
Yeah, Robin gives that grain of truth. There's a moment when Nancy's like, oh, God, is Robin blowing this whole thing right now?
But she uses that in her cover story to allow them access to Victor Creel.
Because Nancy made the whole plan without ever really consulting Robin at all. Like Nancy's like, you're wearing this, you're doing
genius
that.
Ears.
Yeah. This was a big moment. Actually, Robin is one of the MVPs of this episode. Mm-hmm. She
discovers a lot of things.
Yeah, and she's solved the code in season 3, so she's not new to making big finds.
No.
So Dr. Hatch says he'll be back in 30. We are a go for going to see Victor Creel. He's touring them through the campus. He's like,
a bit creepy.
Yeah, he's a weird guy. He's a weird dude.
I wasn't talking about him. I was talking about the tour through the asylum.
Oh, the asylum.
A bit creepier when they're leaving, to be honest.
Yeah.
But the asylum they're walking through. He shows the listening room.
Yeah, the right song can be in a sailing stimulus. They're playing. Listen to Bach there on the record player. That's an important line. Pin that one. Pin that one back.
And Robin does pin
that back. And then they get to thing and they decide to ask one more thing of Dr. Hatch. Can we go in and see him alone?
Which they have to do, but they just totally bumble through it.
Yeah. So why does Dr. Hatch let them in? Because they blew it. They call him Dr. Bradley instead of Brantley.
I think that his goal was to keep them around long enough for him to be able to verify their story and then be able to have them arrested.
I think you're right. Yeah, he's like, you go talk to Victor Creel. Little do you know, I'll be calling the police.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they do go in there, and I was screaming at the TV. The guards tell her or tell Robin and Nancy stand 5 feet from the bars at all times. Is that clear? And they say, yes, it is clear. Why did they break the rules right away? Like, what?
Miles,
why did
you're
you
a
break
rule
that
follower.
rule? Okay, I was yelling at the TV.
Instantly. It was our first time watching it, and he was pissed.
You agreed to the rule. You agreed to the fight. You just disregarded it without even a second thought. Okay, the rule is there for a reason. I was so sure that Creel was going to grab them as Nancy walked to the bars. We're here because we believe you. And she walks puts her nose on the damn bars.
As in other horror stories, that would have happened.
I was like, Nancy, why? But that isn't it. Instead, we get this wonderful performance from Robert Englund. Freddy Krueger played Freddy Krueger, who of course haunts dreams. So that's another great
perfect.
80s casting.
Wonderful cast, yeah. Were you expecting to do a time jump into the 1950s?
Oh, yes, I was expecting to get a Victor Creel flashback from when the uncle said there was a murder back in 59.
It was so, as far as when we were going into season 4, I definitely was not expecting any of this.
Yeah.
It was so different than I really could have expected at all.
Yeah, before the season, no, I didn't think we'd be doing any flashing back.
Yeah, and it really is we go back to the 50s, we see Victor Creel and his seemingly perfect family in this beautiful, huge house, but
Fairy tale.
A fairy tale home, but all is not what it is expected
There's
to be.
an evil upon the home, and
There's
Alice is scared. Henry's a sensitive boy. The mom is seeing spiders. The dad is seeing burning cribs. They're
finding dead animals.
Yeah, oh God.
This was the spawn of Satan.
Yeah, and the dad just staring at the burning crib in the fireplace.
Oh,
I saw people. Okay, that really bugged you?
Oh, absolutely. That was a huge shock factor. That is
Really?
just another sign that this isn't a kid's show anymore. We are growing up. This is dark. This is deep. This is an adult show by this point.
All I could think of was playing The Sims, and that my babies would always catch on fire on The Sims.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. My fellow Simsites out there, you know what I'm talking about.
Wow. Let's keep you away from children.
Yeah.
Should we?
So they get to that dinner in 59, and Victor Creel is saying that's when my wife Virginia is levitated and snap at the bones and
you see it just like the other ones.
Yep.
It never gets old.
Yeah, and
it's still just as shocking.
And it functions to serve as a reminder of what could happen to Max later. I'm really glad they put that in this episode, because we need to see the jaw popping and stuff, so we feel fresh with that danger that faces Max.
I was very glad that they put his guilty flashback scene in there, because they didn't have to do it. It was obvious that he, had some sort of guilt around killing a baby.
Yeah.
But it hit even harder.
So you're talking about he opens the door and he goes back to the early 40s, World War II.
When he's in the war and he orders a shelling on a home that he thinks that there's a bunch of Germans in there, German soldiers.
He thinks he orders the shelling, but it is a family and not German soldiers.
A baby burns alive like that. When we first see the crib, that was hard to see. But seeing this scene and the baby burning, it was very difficult to watch.
No. And not an uncommon thing for that generation. A lot of PTSD from World War I and World War II is very, very, very common, and sad. On Rewatch, I thought they did a masterful job of showing the boy. Spoilers for all season 4. Remember, everybody, spoilers for all season 4.
Oh, yeah.
Showing the boy Henry enough so that it doesn't really contradict what we see. But it also doesn't give it away.
Yeah, when you go back and watch it, he really is this solemn kid.
Yeah, I don't think that you really get tipped off there. I think the one thing that might have given people pause is and my boy went into a coma and died 5 days later. You're kind of why didn't he snap his bones? Right. They did a really good job of that. Rewarding on Rewatch.
Yep. But Victor Creel does talk about what pulls him out of the
Oh, yeah. That's important.
Yeah, it is very important. What pulls him out of the vision, the dark, guilty vision that he has, is he hears an angel's voice, which is a song that we all know, that Robin catches up on.
Dreams of me.
And thank God for Robin, because she saves Max's life.
Yeah. And then I heard another voice, an angel. That's right. You heard Ella Fitzgerald. That she is an angel. So you got that right. Amazing voice. Yeah, Robin files that away. Good point. And he tells us that he tried to kill himself by razor blades to the eyes.
But Dr. Hatch
was that the only way? Was that the only possible method you could have done?
Yeah,
here, Victor?
I don't know if it was like a nod to maybe trying to be more realistic of somebody who witnessed his family dying.
Yeah, and they lost their eyes.
They lost their eyes. Maybe he was just trying to replicate that. Like he felt like he obviously felt like he should have died. And so he tries to kill himself in the same way that they died.
Yeah, there's something there. So we're going to say something about Robin's music notice there?
Oh, yeah. She catches that and she saves Max's life.
Yeah.
But yes, before we get to that, Hatch finds them out, tells them he's calling the police, and they make a run for it. All right, so let's hop on over to Max, because the whole time that Nancy and Robin have been at the asylum, stuff has been happening with Max and the Scooby Gang.
Yes.
So Max is writing all of these letters, which we can only imagine how touching each and every one of them are, because she writes one for each of them.
Yeah, and all her family.
All of her family. She tells them not to open. She hands one to Dustin. She hands one to Steve. She hands one to Lucas. And she tells them not to open them. This is her fail-safe if things don't work out.
Yeah.
And it was such a heartbreaking line, because she says it so matter-of-factly. Like, I know nothing's going to go my way because it never has. This is just going to end badly. I'm going to die in 24 hours. And it's just like, she is just utterly defeated.
Yeah, Sadie Sink just plays this with so much dread. Just the whole episode, she's just like dead girl walking.
Yeah,
and
no hope.
Yeah, we're about to go down the whole Max plot, I know, but this episode is truly a showcase for Sadie Sink and for the character of Max Mayfield. It is fantastic.
Yeah, and before we go into all these details, can we talk about the fact that she was not nominated for an Emmy?
She was not emanated for a Nommy. That is correct.
Nominated for an Emmy. I cannot believe it. Neither her or Millie Bobby Brown were nominated for an Emmy. It just blows my mind.
Ridiculous. Emmys, we need to smash your face with a skate.
Sadie Sink's acting is so fantastic. She is the all-star of season 4, in my opinion. The best actor in the entirety of season 4.
Yeah. I still say Millie, but Sadie is definitely number 2. They both deserved nominations.
Yeah.
The letters, this episode reminded me of, and I'm sorry that I seem to bring up Lost every single episode, but this episode reminded me of Lost, Charlie's Greatest Hits episode, where he's writing down, he knows he's going to die because Desmond has flashed forward and seen it.
Oh, by the way, Lost spoilers.
I think that we're okay on that. Once it goes past a decade and a half, I'm going to go ahead and call it on that one.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
So Charlie is writing those. He's writing his top 5 moments in his life, and we're flashing back to each one of them, and he knows he's going to die. That's what I felt like with Max here. And she just brings such gravitas, such dread to it. I love when they're sitting there and did she sleep? And would you?
Yeah.
And she's just writing and writing and writing, and she's deflecting. She's really pushing them all away as well, throughout the whole time.
Detaching herself from them.
Yeah. And of course, we know she's going to go to the graveyard and levitate because we saw it in the trailer.
Miles cannot let that go.
To be clear, I blame myself for watching the trailer more than I blame it being in the trailer. I think they had to put it in the trailer. They had to put some pop in there. I didn't have to watch it. I was already going to watch the show, but...
Yeah, but being a Stranger Things podcast, we did touch on that. So I do feel like, in a way, it was your duty to watch it.
Yeah.
As a Stranger Things podcaster.
I was obligated. You're right. I was bound by honor. Yeah, that's a great point. So she goes to the trailer,
Yeah, so she goes to her house. Not just the trailer, because there's Eddie's trailer too. They did not go to Eddie's trailer.
Thank you.
So Max goes home, and she wants to leave some letters for her mom, who's supposed to be at work, and her grandparents. But she sees her mom outside hanging laundry. And she goes out there, she hugs her mom. She tells her mom about these letters and that she wants her to read them. And then the scene turns into one of the, what do we call these? The dark visions, the Vecna visions?
Yeah, that sounds great to me.
It turns into a Vecna vision. And you just you get more and more hints of how Max is broken and how Vecna and why Vecna is reaching out to her.
Exactly.
He says, "You've broken everything.
Nothing
Your
you don't.
time is almost at an end.
Nothing you don't deserve." Right. Max gets out there and they can clearly see she's just had a vision, a Vecna vision, right? And they say, "Are you okay?" And she says, "Let's just go." She again blows
Pushing them away. She won't talk about it. And they get to the cemetery, which none of them are thrilled to be there. And Lucas stops her and says, he actually asks her, "Why you keep pushing me away? Just talk to me. I'm right here. I'm here."
I found I don't need a letter. I don't want a letter to be very powerful. I thought that was really, Lucas is saying, no, that you need to do it now. I'm here. I loved that.
Yeah.
They're perfect for each other.
They really are. But the thing is, she's so caught up in her own guilt that she can't see that. She's just pushed, like we've said, pushing everybody away.
But do you think that she's pushing him away also because she knows she's going to die? Like there's no point in making any kind of connection.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a lot of selfishly pushing other people away. So so she can be alone in her grief, but I think that is part of it. I think she does want to protect Lucas from being close to her.
Yeah. She walks up to the cemetery, to the graveyard.
She doesn't deserve love. That's the root of it. Oh. She feels like she does not deserve any love from anyone. She needs to be punished for what she feels like she's done. Yeah.
Wow. Well, you're good at the feeler stuff. That's very sad. And Sadie Sink's performance brings all that out. Like, as you said that, I can see it. I really, God, this is so good. And she goes up to the graveyard, to Billy's grave, and reads him the letter.
Now, this scene had me sobbing the entire time, as Miles can attest to.
Verified.
It was such a moving moment. She's reading the letter, and as I'm doing my notes for this podcast, I couldn't just pick out certain things about the letter. I literally made all of my notes her entire letter.
It's worth diving into.
It was. The things that she's saying are so heart-wrenching. You're hearing how she thinks that she's feeling in this moment. We later find that it's much deeper than that. But she says, "Sometimes I imagine myself running to you, that if I had, you'd still be here and everything would be right again, that we could have become friends like real brother and sister. You hated me, I hated you, but I thought that maybe we could try again, but that's not what happened. I just stood there and I watched. I think a part of me died that day too." And it's just so heartbreaking that and this isn't even as deeply guilty that she feels, but we're listening to that and we can relate to that because that's how a real person could feel in this situation. And so horrible that she's been holding that in and she hasn't told any of her friends. She hasn't shared it. In fact, she says it in the letter. Yeah. "I haven't told anyone this, but I had to tell you before it's too late. I'm sorry. I'm so, so sorry. Love, your shitty little sister, Max."
It's so good. Shitty little sister Max is a fantastic ending. She couldn't have saved him. I know we're not on logic train here, but I mean, he was spitting up ammonia and fertilizer and his blood was black, but that doesn't comfort her. And as we see, it is more complex than that. When she can't talk about it, so she can't tell anybody her feelings. She also has that she can't talk about it at all, really. She can't tell people that he saved Eleven's life. Yeah. That, the fact that he did that, ironically, gives her guilt that she hated him so much.
Yeah.
Because he did do this one little, as I've said many times, the non-zero amount of good at the end.
And in real life, survivor's guilt is an actual thing that people experience when they've lost somebody in a situation that they were like directly related to. It is a real thing, and I think that this scene just captures it very well.
Yeah. The music under this letter reading by Sadie Sink as Max Mayfield is the eulogy track.
Yeah.
That we hear with Bob, but it is a little bit of a different version of it.
Oh.
It's a higher synth, a punchier synth, less slidey, doing that same melody, but it's either earlier in the same track that we didn't hear in the show, but it's a little bit different.
Probably adds to the sobbing because
sure
subconsciously I know that relates to Bob. Bob.
It was nice of Vecna to wait until the end of the letter. It goes dark, and Vecna begins speaking to Max through Billy.
Oh, man. This was brilliant, too. I mean, unsurprising because we've seen with, Fred and Chrissy and even Max with her mom that Vecna first uses somebody from their personal life to illustrate their own guilt back to them.
Yeah.
But this scene with Billy, the way he's talking to her is very kind of dispassioned, almost matter of fact. His face is almost blank, but you see a tear track down his cheek. Like, oh man, that I don't know, that just like got you even more into the scene.
Yeah. And the actor of Dacre Montgomery is the original voice of this, of the Mind Flayer / Vecna, when he gives the speech to Elle in season 3, chapter 6, Pluribus Unum, we built this for you, all for you, we're going to end it all. So I had kind of hoped, before the season that Dacre Montgomery would actually be back in the form of ending up being like the bad guy, the voice of the bad guy, even though Billy is dead. But
I'm glad that he wasn't.
Yeah, me too.
He died on a,
yes,
in a way
a
that
high
we
note.
could then love him.
Yeah.
I was going to say that, but I thought it was a little dark. He died on a high note.
Yeah, with a tentacle stabbing through his chest that we, by the way, have flashed back to like 5 times in season 4 so far, FYI.
Miles hates flashbacks.
Billy unfolds that you said that Max is feeling guilt, and this is her feeling, but there's deeper complexities under that. Billy / Vecna here really unfold that. Like, a part of you wanted me to die, and a part of you wanted to join me in death. It
wasn't the full truth.
Yes.
Was it, Max?
Yeah, and that extra level of grief is, first of all, fantastic. This is so rich and so powerful, and Max plays it so well. But she starts running away from the upside down of her mind.
Vecna, it's time, Max, for you to join me. How often do we say these lines around the house?
It's time.
What she runs to eventually is the red cloud. That brings you back to season 3 when 11 is in Billy's mind.
Yep.
And where the Mind Flayer is staying. So really that's what's like, she has entered where the Mind Flayer is within her own mind.
Wow.
Like another parallel to Billy.
I love this mind stuff. I'm really looking forward to talking about that's going to be a big part of season 5, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
So she's running away, and meanwhile, at the cemetery, they're freaking out. Steve, Dustin, Lucas, they're like, oh my God, something's wrong. And Dustin sprints down to the car and finally gets a hold of Robin and Nancy, please tell me you have this figured out.
And thankfully, Robin has cracked the code.
Which we don't actually see Robin tell Dustin, because we don't
have to. We don't need it.
I love that. We don't need that. Then Dustin's running back up. What's her favorite song? And Lucas, why? I don't have time to explain it right now. What's her favorite song?
And they're fumbling through all of the tapes, just trying to find the right one.
And they're finally get it in. Good teamwork, by the way. If you watch that, Steve's flipping in the tape, pressing they're getting the headphones on her. They do a really good job, the three of them. Good assembly line there.
And it doesn't work right away.
No, it just starts slowly. She can barely hear it.
Did you have a moment of doubt that maybe that wasn't actually going to work?
I mean, I didn't know. I mean, is the question did I think Max was going to die? Because I thought that this might work, but I didn't know if it was going to work for Max. Did you think Max was going to die in this? I mean, I know we're kind of.
No. No, because I feel like she's essential to the show. I like this early in the season. I think there was no way that they could have killed her this early in the season. So no, I didn't think that she was going to die in this moment. I mean, throughout the episode, I was ready for her to die. I just couldn't see how they could get her out. The symmetry of, watching Chrissy die, watching Fred die, watching, Mrs. Creel die earlier, well, I guess 1959, and there's no 11 in this whole episode, the usual savior of everything is 11. And the audience... She's completely absent.
She's completely absent, and we know she doesn't have powers. And we know she's not going to get her powers off screen. So subconsciously, we're not thinking about 11 coming to save Max. So I really felt like this was Charlie's greatest hits and Lost, and he's going to die in a heroic way, figuring out how to save others. And this is such a showcase episode for Sadie. I thought, if she dies, she might win 1 million awards too. I don't know.
Ooh. Do you think that that's what held her back from being nominated?
Honestly, no. I don't think the Emmys even watched it because otherwise they would have nominated her.
Yeah.
So that's my theory. They didn't watch it. So Max is in the red. What do we call that? The red room, red hive,
the red cloud, the red storm. I don't know.
The red storm of Vecna's. It's really Vecna's mind. So
and
there's Vecna's mind house.
His mind house, and there's just debris floating around. That kind of reminded me of Avengers. What's the latest one that we watched?
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that. If you guys have seen the newest Doctor Strange, the stuff flying around,
just the shattered pieces of the Creel house all over.
Yep, and it's mushy and gross, squelching under her feet.
A lot of wet squelching.
And then she walks up to, it's almost like a shrine. She sees a dead Chrissy. She sees a dead Fred. Vecna comes in, throws her up against the wall, and she's going to be the third one to join his shrine.
Yeah, how do you like them, Max? Ugh. Would you like to join them? And I love what are you doing here, Max? Max, Vecna's a little surprised that Max got here, right? So she's not supposed to be seeing this.
Yep. And I think that the reason she's able to see that is because she knows in reality that he isn't actually there.
She says that too.
Yep. And she does. You're not here. Oh, but I am.
Yeah. She gets put up on a spire like Chrissy, like Fred, and there's this little smile from Vecna. And I remember at this point thinking what the hell are we dealing with here? Max levitates. Again, the symmetry of having those characters having previously died. We haven't seen anyone come back from a levitation yet.
No. It's this moment that Max starts to have her flashbacks to everything that's brought her joy. The first scene is the one that we had just seen between her and Lucas, that I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. And then, you pop through all of, seasons 2 and 3 and everything with 11 and Dustin and all of her friends, and that ultimately weakens the hold that Vecna has on her. She rips one of the tendrils out of his neck and starts running. And this scene, this is what makes this episode possibly the best thing in all of Stranger Things. The visual effects, the emotions that's portrayed on her face, the fear and the hope, and the
music.
The music. Oh my God.
Kate Bush takes hold. Well, Vecna
takes hold on all of us.
Yeah, exactly. Vecna weakens, Kate Bush strengthens. It is so powerful.
Falling all around her. And you as an audience know, okay, you're pretty certain she's going to make it, but you're not 100% certain. So you have all of this hope mixed with all of this anxiety, like the tension.
I was filled with the dread that Max had been carrying this whole episode. I was just filled with it. Like, of course this asshole's going to kill me. I thought she was going to come up just short. And it does seem like that, right? It goes to black.
Yep.
And first I thought it's not gonna stay here.
Oh, you thought it was gonna end?
I thought it was gonna end. That's how regular TV shows just end on shit like that. I was so happy when it came back and her eyes return and she falls to the ground.
I thought we lost you.
I'm still here. I'm still here. Just so powerful. Amazing. I mean, it's almost like, isn't this one of the best moments in television history? I mean, we're talking about Stranger Things, but isn't this one of the best in history?
I mean, I think it could be, really. I think this just this scene just resonates with so many people. Obviously it does, because look at the song in itself. Running Up That Hill became like #1 across the board.
And I think the ending is just as important. The fact that it faded to black and came back and fell, because that other image, the image it actually ends on, where the sun is setting on them, Steve, Dustin, Lucas, and Max.
And the music in that moment turns into a piano.
About that. Oh, heck yeah, we're about to talk about that. But that visual as well is much more powerful than picking up in chapter 5, with what's going to happen to Max.
We get that satisfaction. We get that relief.
Yeah, and that's what makes it a classic. I mean, this episode is definitely top 5 for me. I mean, I feel like
top 5 in Stranger Things or
top 5 Stranger Things, yeah. And then the finales of 3, 2, and 1. I do love the Pluribus Unum episode. Maybe the Spy. I don't know. I don't really have my top 5, so I don't know. That was an irresponsible tangent to go on to.
I do think this is possibly my favorite Stranger Things episode. I mean, I'm gonna have to go back and watch rewatch the rest of season 4, but I really do think this is my favorite.
No. Stick with us, folks. I think this episode is going to go an hour 10 here, but it's worth it on Dear Billy, right, everybody? Yeah.
The crowd roars.
The crowd roars. We end every episode on a feeler moment, a music moment, and a final question. Kathleen, hit us with her feeler moment.
So really, ultimately, my feeler moment was this final scene, but it was just impossible not to cover it as we were talking about this final scene. Yeah. So I had to pick a new one. Okay. And my new feeler moment is Hopper with the peanut butter, because I tried not to talk too much about it in the moment while we were going through. But okay, not weakness here. Okay. It is just like, you see so many emotions across his face when he takes that scoop of peanut butter into his mouth. He's like tearing up. You have this feeling of homesickness, but also comfort. The first time he's had real food in the last 8 months. So there's that satisfaction, but also like this hope that he's finally almost free. And you get the sense that he is a human being. Like we're seeing more raw Hopper than we probably ever have before. And like you were saying earlier, he is changed. He will never be the same Hopper he was in seasons 1 through 3.
Wow. All right. Music moment. I'm going to go with Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush.
You can't not choose that.
Yeah, and I don't have 2 music moments here. It just felt wrong to do anything but this song. But I am going to dive into it a bit here because, this became a worldwide, sensation. Kate Bush. It skyrocketed up the charts. It was a combination of a great usage in a television show, but also a song and an artist getting like a kind of a belated appreciation. It was ahead of its time. I didn't really know this song that well or Kate Bush that well. And clearly this song resonated in a new way with a new generation that was more ready for it. But, I don't know besmirching to Kate Bush here, but the song that we hear is not really Running Up That Hill. There's like Running Up the Hill is in there, but it is filled with so much other stuff. These other like really cool synth parts and string parts and score tracks that are frankly not in the song.
Just like enhance the song, really.
And I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit of those here. So as it kind of builds up and Max is on the spire, we're getting these kind of like na 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 na, and these no 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 no.
The violins in the background.
Yeah, there's these
and the drums.
The soaring violins, the percussion is going crazy. I mean, it's like multiple people banging on those timpanis or big drums. And then once Max gets away from Vecna, there are these string flourishes up that are magical. They are fantastic. Let's listen to those real quick.
What instrument is that?
Violins, I think, or synthesized violins. That is just awesome. And I mean, that's not really in the Kate Bush song, though certainly inspired by it. And we're getting Kate Bush in the whole "Come on, darling," the bridge part as she's seeing the flashbacks, which is the most powerful part. And listen, as she's running, there's this descending, which is definitely a synthesizer. This part that gets us back to the chorus. Here. So that just much different than the way the real song gets from the bridge to the chorus. The Kate Bush version has that. There's like all these different parts, all these flourishes. You called out the percussion. The drums really build in a nice way, and they actually slow down before the blackout, which is really cool. Just a wonderful little slowdown there. And of course, I mean, I don't need to say anything more about it. It's fantastic. But what's arguably even better to me, as far as like re-listening to the music themselves, is that little piano riff that you called out. After Lucas is holding Max and Max is saying, "I'm still here," we get the "Running Up That Hill" melody played on the piano.
Such a contrast.
Yeah, the piano part is beautiful. And we get this little digital blip percussion. Boop. Boop.
Well, I didn't hear the boop. I just heard you saying boop.
It does little boops. Okay, digital blip, as I call. And then a lot of people don't hear this because the credits go and you go into chapter 5. Kate Bush comes back.
Wow.
That's magical to me.
I did not listen to this. I did not listen to all the...
Yeah, because Netflix pops you to chapter 5.
Yeah.
God, I just love that. Just ooh, and it keeps going. It's one of the biggest parts of Stranger Things. When people talk about Stranger Things 4 at work, the next thing they say is "running up that hill."
Yeah.
Kate Bush deserves every single little bit of credit she's getting. She's made millions of dollars off this. It actually comes back in chapter 9 in a really cool way as well that we'll talk about. A fantastic moment for a fantastic episode.
And I think this will be the defining thing that allows people to think of Stranger Things for decades.
Yeah, I agree. There was one thing I wanted to add, which is that Kate Bush in the 1980s was a woman who produced her own music.
Yeah, you were telling me that. That's so cool.
I didn't know a lot about. One of the things I'm grateful for Stranger Things is getting to learn more about her. And it's pretty incredible. She's getting her time. This is her time.
This is her time.
Like that meme.
Oh, yeah. It's from Back to the Future. I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet, but your kids are going to love it. That is Kate Bush.
Yeah, it's true for Kate Bush. All right. Final question here. We're going to do the Vecna challenge, but we're not going to do it the way that everybody else does it.
It's a little twist.
We already did it. Exactly. We already did like what songs would bring us back from Vecna. This is a twist that has some strategy to it. If the entire world went into a personal Vecna lair, so the whole world has levitated and they're all in their own versions of the red rooms, and you have a worldwide boombox, what song would you play to save the most people?
When I was thinking of this, I was trying to think of the most popular songs that the most amount of people like. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the goal, right?
Right.
So
it has to mean something too. It has to be enough to get them out of there.
Oh God. Okay. Well, I don't know. I came up with 3. This least strong one, I'll start with that one, would be Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. Okay. It's a brilliant song. I think most people love it. I've not heard a single person say they don't like it.
On down the road.
And then next I would say Hey Jude. Excellent Beatles song. It's upbeat, so you would want something that was positive. You'd think that it's got to be a positive song that's going to be the song that saves the world. Yeah, and it's the Beatles. Everybody loves the Beatles. And then for the finale, and I think this would be perfect, Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen.
Mama, anyway the wind blows. That's fabulous.
We are excellent singers.
I like this because there's some strategy to it. Whereas the regular Vecna, what song was saved from Vecna, it's just like people's chance to just say their favorite song or what they wish their favorite song would be. I'm a cynic. I think social media, like, oh, my favorite song is The Lost Demo number 9 by the Smiths. You know, it's not released, but it changed my life. You know, it's like, I always... Yeah.
You know there are so many of those people out there.
But so you go to your boombox, everybody's levitating. You've got to make 2 somber decisions. First, you've got to figure out which cultural and geographical area you're going to target here. Because you play an American song, you're going to target mostly Americans, you know. So if somebody has like an Asian or Indian song that I missed here that would save 1 billion people, I'd love to hear it. I kind of have to stick with USA, England, because that's what I know, and also that culture is spread worldwide too. So that's going to save the most possible people. Mm-hmm. The second somber decision you have to make is what generation to save. The people who grew up with Stairway to Heaven, babe, and Hey Jude, they're like 60 right now, 70.
Okay. How dare you say that?
Okay.
Hey, the Beatles are timeless, and you tell me that time and again.
I'm literally an example of that nodding. But I'm talking about the world at large.
And I still stand by... Okay, not Stairway to Heaven. I did say it was my least strong. But the Beatles, though?
Okay, yeah. But you could save like all the baby boomers by putting on Elvis Presley, Hound Dog, probably. That changed their lives.
Yeah.
So... But you also can't, there's not really a song you can play to save the kids. You know, they're just too spread out yet. They don't have enough shared culture. You know, they're in the true streaming age, so they're not really sharing an experience. So I can't find a song that would like save all the kids under 12. So what I'm looking for is a song that can target those people in their 20s and their 30s who can repopulate the earth. You know, because everyone's going to die. And I'm looking for a song. So I'm looking for a song around the late 90s, early 2000s. You know, I thought about something beautiful and artistic, Radiohead, or maybe some super popular like Beyonce or something like that. But I think the truest way to the heart is nostalgia, something from their childhoods, something that was popular worldwide that would resonate with 20 and 30-year-olds in a deep way with their childhoods. And I chose You Are My Fire, the One Desire, believe when I say I want it that way.
This would absolutely save my life. This has saved my life, babe.
Because it would save more women than men, which is good for repopulation, and it attaches to people's childhood. It was hugely popular across the world, not just America, Europe, Asia, everywhere. That is the song that you should responsibly choose in this situation, folks.
Okay, well, the question specifically said, what song would you play to save the most people?
I think
but does that apply to, like, because you're saving future generations, I suppose, too?
I don't know.
Still some.
That's a
Elvis
good
lovers.
point.
But
That's a good
I
nitpick.
don't know.
Though.
Actually, I think that still fits your narrative here because you're talking about repopulating. So save the most people. You're saving all those future generations.
Yeah. So, you know,
maybe you're
I spent a long time on that. I was surprised to end up on that song as anybody.
Wow. Gosh, I did not go that way. I was even thinking of contemporary songs, and then I thought, well, save the most current people. Like, you're not going to save anybody over 45.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We could have done Baby Shark and maybe saved all the 2010s kids, but who's going to take care of them?
Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star?
Oh,
No, because that might just be a totally American thing. I don't know.
I thought about like Beethoven or Bach, but like that has to mean something to people. Remember, it can't be like the hold music on your.
I guess Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star doesn't mean much to many people.
Unless like, you know, for some people, I'm sure it does. But Pass the Deutsche on the left-hand side was a close second.
I would be interested, all of you listeners out there, tell me what you think the song would be.
Post on at StrangerStill22. Let us know.
Yes, especially if you are from another country too, because I'd love to hear like what other, other countries and cultures.
Yeah,
what that song would be.
After this episode comes out, I will post that as a question to people. A couple days after.
Brilliant.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will be back for Chapter 5, the Nina Project, where we're going to be reunited with 11, who was not in this episode. So I'm excited about that.
Start to see a lot more of her previous childhood.
Things start to unfurl. All right. My name is Miles.
I'm Kathleen.
Good night.